everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Treetopchat. This is episode number 33. And last week we spoke to Joshua from Germany. That was a very great, improvised and casual conversation we had since we had some issues with Ghislain's voice there. So check that out on your favorite platform if you missed that episode. A bit of an update, I was sent this beautiful rope necklace from Teufelberger today, so we might put that on the store later. That was a joke, it's not April 1st yet, but we have some beautiful updates from Teufelberger actually. Today they released their ambassador line, so we have this tarp, you can protect your ropes and your gear. They also released this Arctic sweater, which is designed by the ambassadors as well. They released also a Cool Max t-shirt, which is very nice as a top garment if you're climbing. So these are non-protective in terms of chainsaw, but protect you against the weather at least. They also released a pair of climbing trousers, which we will get next week, and also some cutlery that will be available in the store. So today we will be speaking to Anadi. We had Anadi's colleague Jonas on last year, but we imagine a lot of changes happened since then, so it will be interesting to get some new perspectives from India. Welcome, how are you?
Hey. Thank you, I'm good. And you?
Good. I'm good. Yeah, I'm sitting here. It's pitch dark outside. We're having snow and ice everywhere. I suppose it's a bit different where you are, right?
It feels like summer already kicked in. I'm almost sweating. But yeah, it's good weather.
Yeah,
best time of the year.
What's the temperature like?
28, 32, between 28 and 32. And at night it goes down to like 20. Now it's like 24 or so.
Well, I suppose you can live with that, huh?
Yeah, that's livable.
Very nice, very nice. Now we have had a bit of the up and down weather. I talked to some people from up north today in a city called Östersund. They had minus 29 Celsius last week. So that's a difference of 60 degrees from where you are, right?
Yeah. That's intense. That's intense.
That's very cold. And all the gear was freezing, and he was looking for some things that wouldn't freeze up on the ropes and things. So yeah, bad conditions to work in.
I wouldn't be able to imagine how it is to work in those conditions.
No.
And I expect that the trees also react differently because the wood's frozen. I mean, should be.
Yeah, exactly. But in that cold weather, you can take a pot of boiling water and throw it up, and it comes down as snow.
Well, here you take
It doesn't work with cold water though, because it has less air in it.
Cool. If I make it to that side of the world sometime soon, I'll try it out.
Yeah. You're welcome to this side of the world anytime.
Cool.
So, Anadi, tell us about how you got into the ARB industry, and how did you choose this profession?
It's quite a long story, but I'll try to make it short because my parents had a project of coastal reforestation on a plot of around 25 acres of land, and I don't know, that's like maybe 4,700 square feet or something. So it's like a big plot that they wanted to do a project of coastal reforestation. So as a kid, I was encouraged to plant trees if I wanted to have my pocket money.
Yeah.
And it was like 5 cents per tree or something, or even less. I think I would plant like 20 trees, and that would take like saplings, and it would take me about like the whole morning, and I'd get $1 or $2, which was great because that used to be quite a bit of money here in that time. And in the process, with it was very like communal thing. So a lot of people planted trees, and there were about, I think, in that plot 500,000 different types of, I mean, not 500 different types, 500,000 trees that were planted of different species, maybe like 150 to 250 different species. And yeah, and as a kid, I was always running around with my bill hook, my machete, and eagerly cutting down one branch or another, and doing naughty stuff that a kid would do. And we had about 350 coconut trees. So I could climb a coconut tree without ropes and freehand, and when I was 8 years old. So I used to go and collect coconuts, just climb up, grab the nuts, and and so it was very natural to me. And as I became a teenager and I was in school, but I needed pocket money, I always did a little bit of tree work on the side, but never professionally, very amateur and unsafe, as I was saying. And I used to climb one hand. I had my gurkha knife, which is like a big machete, and I'd climb up and then hold the fronds of the coconut tree and cut around, and cut around so that I would basically cut all the fronds off and all the coconuts so that we can we would harvest the coconuts, and the trees need to be pruned. And eventually, when I was like 21, my girlfriend at that time, my wife now, was like, why don't you do it a bit more professionally? Why don't you do it a bit more safe? Okay. And there were some freelance arborists there were a few freelance tree workers here, and one of them was a Spanish man, and he learned arboriculture in Spain and came to live in India, and he had a set. So he had a belt. I don't remember what belt it was, but like a carabiner, Prusik, and another carabiner, and a sideline with a Prusik and a carabiner, and so forth. Like a really basic climbing set. Yeah. And my other part.
What was this?
This was this was 2011, so 10 years ago, 10 and a half years ago. And I learned from him the basics of, like hip thrust with my Blake's Hitch Prusik, and just very basic climbing. Yeah. But I was still free climbing the trees and just having the rope as a backup line. And I was still, I was climbing barefoot in shorts with my t-shirt, and it was nice to have the belt so I could clip in my tools and so forth. But the line was like a backup system. It wasn't my primary climbing system, like I was my climbing system.
Your hands and feet, right?
Yeah, exactly. And eventually, as the months passed by, I became more efficient and more proficient with the ropes. And I realized that, it's just, one, it's way safer. Two, it's in the long run, it's way faster as well. So you're more productive. Yeah. And slowly shifted to putting on my shoes. And I got a really bad burn from the chainsaw on my thigh because I was wearing shorts, like the exhaust. So I had the MS200 exhaust like branded on my thigh. And then I was like, no, I'm wearing long pants. Like, I don't want to get burnt again, like scratches on my calves because the chain would scratch me. And it was like the obvious next step, a bit like, oh bong bong kind of thing, and then as our climbing evolved, you see, like Jonas had said in the previous talk, it was really just in the last 4 or 5 years have we really like equipped everyone with a helmet. We're trying to implement as much and as safety conscious as possible. And that's only in the last 4 or 5 years. And so what happened was that from like a freelancing, one person doing it once in a while and somebody having their method, we sort of like tried to put our forces together and build something that we could make a difference as well.
That's very good.
Yeah. And I guess, that's how I got into it. Like, it was really slow. It was a really slow journey until about 5 years ago. And even, I would say, like, until 5 years ago, I was a tree pruner. I was not an arborist. No. So, like, I could do the operations, I could prune the trees, and I knew how to do pruning cuts, but I didn't understand the full concept of arboriculture. I didn't understand the urban forestry aspect, the whole aspect of tree biology, soil science, and all the aspect that is actually not physical. And that's what I sort of only learned that about 4.5, 5 years into the job.
Okay. Yeah, I know what you're talking about regarding safety, because I've seen this in India with my own eyes in the late 90s when we were in Goa. The guys, they were running up, the stems of the palm trees with a handkerchief around it, and a rucksack to pick some fruits, and then they would swing, this small palm tree and jumped over to, another tree and pick some fruit. And because I think they planted, those thin palm trees to be able to swing back and forth as opposed to, climbing.
And they harvest that palm. No, they harvest the fruit.
Yeah, I think this was mangoes as well, mango trees.
Depends. They mix. You'll have coconut trees. If they plant coconut tree plantations, you'll have it mixed with teak trees and banana trees. Yeah. Because teak is a high value wood, which goes at about 50 to 60 euros CFT. Yeah. So you can. It's a high value wood. I think it's our oak almost, Yeah,
I know. It's very nice. We a lot of the teak goes on to boats and stuff.
Exactly, yeah, because it's really water resistant. It's great. Exactly. It's great wood. Yeah. And it's one of these things that if they plant the teak trees and the coconuts and the bananas, they can harvest fruit and then harvest the wood every 30 years or so, and it gives a good return of funds and gives a good workload. Yeah. So,
in essence, you can say that your wife got you into this job, huh?
Yeah, and she's awesome, and I mean, she's also the one who designed our logo. She's a graphic designer, cool. So she designed our logo, and she's awesome.
Cool. So you started India's first, really tree care company, together with our previous guest, Jonas.
Yes, Jonas, yeah.
How did you two get to know each other, and and how did you come up with this idea?
So Jonas and I have been friends since we were around 2 or 3 years old, and we're almost like brothers. We know each other really well, and we are we're really close. I mean, I have to say also, there's a third partner that runs tree care with us. He's not active socially, like social media wise, but he's also like a brother to us. And, we all grew up really close together. And, we decided to do it because of the need. There is a need and there's a passion. We're passionate about this. And the fact that it's one of these things where it was not each of our main focus. We could have easily have gone into different careers, but somehow, call it faith, call it the fact that you try something and you love it and you're like, okay, I want to pursue that. And it just works. There's such a good dynamic that it just flows. And, it's one of these things where we really focus on team building, and we wanted to do something that could make a difference in India. I mean, I believe that each and everyone should make a small difference, whatever difference they can. And there are, I'll give you a story that we were working last year in Cody, in Kodaikanal, where we have those huge eucalyptus trees that are 50 meters, 60 meters. And there was a local team that was working there that was helping to clean up. So they were just bucking the logs, piling them up because of like cost efficiency and so forth. Yeah. And so there was the chainsaw operator who was about 48 years old, maybe 50, and he had a son. And like in my break time, I would talk to them because I speak the local language. So I would be speaking to them and asking them about their experience, because they climb these massive trees with no safety. They climb up a rope. They don't have a belt. They don't have anything. And they're, you know, I'm scared. I'm scared when I have my full equipment, and I'm scared. It's scary. And they do it with no safety equipment. So I'm talking to them and I'm like, how do you do this? And it's a simple answer for them. It's like, it's our way of life. And it's a difficult way. The father had lost a son. He had two sons, and one son fell off the tree and died, you know? And I was like, and you still go and climb the tree even after that has happened? And he's like, yeah, this is what we know how to do. This is what we do. So in my spare time, you know, I showed them how to make a rope harness with, a harness with a rope. So like a rope harness. And I showed them like, look, you know, like you can use these things that, okay, they're not going to be comfortable, but it's going to save your life. Yeah. And that's something that, like, you know, we all have means, and if I can help someone, I'm happy to do it. And I believe that that's something that's good to do. So that's our mission in the long run.
Yeah, good. That's a good mission. So you know, since we spoke to Jonas last year, you know, what else has happened in your company, you know, like in half a year?
Yeah, so basically, in the last half a year, because of COVID times, we haven't had any like big contracts, because most of the companies that call us regularly are sort of financially, you know, being cautious. Yeah. And we focused on setting up some webinars so that we could spread the knowledge of arboriculture in India. And we've been working with some facilitators to do webinars and teach, you know, architects, town planners, and people who would have an influence on the development of cities or even just private residences, how to react with trees if they are in their location. And that's been quite interesting, and also, you know, a learning experience, because the more you focus on a certain aspect, the better you get at it. If I do 40 hours of climbing a week, I'm going to become that much better of a climber. If I do 40 hours of research and so forth, I'm going to become that much better at deducting what tree. Yeah. So it was in the last 6 months we've been focusing on that, and yeah, that was one of these things that came out of this pandemic, because we've been talking about it. Let's do it. But we never had the time, and suddenly we had the time. So we're like, oh, cool, let's do it.
Yeah, exactly. So as you said, you know, you're working on developing, you know, the tree care industry in India. But what do you think are, you know, the big future steps to make this happen?
Oof, you know, so big future steps are. Wait, I wrote something down because I know myself. I was gonna forget. Yeah. I think that our main big future step is education and training. Yeah. And we have some resource. We don't have so much resource, but also we want to document that training. We want to document through YouTube and through Instagram, and also for our local audience, and have it either in English with subtitles that they can understand, or, you know, I can speak the local language that they speak in the South, and we have some our tree climbers and our employees that are from Nepal, and they can speak Hindi, which is the common language in the North. So we could have a YouTube channel where we can cater to both our viewers that are in Europe and America and so forth, and our local viewers, because we want to make the change here. So that's one of our goals for the coming year. And so yeah, create a YouTube channel, promote our Instagram, and also we're setting up a new website where hopefully we're going to also have like I mean, this is all like conceptual and not yet concrete. These are our plans. So we want to have like a funding option. So, you know, like you can donate, because the exchange rate is really high. So even if you're donating, you know, $5 or €5, it makes a big difference, and it'll allow us to, you know, to rent our car, or take a flight because otherwise we pay for this, because we want to train the poor people, because the majority of the people who are doing this work is not the middle class or the rich, because they want to become doctors and engineers. So the poor people, but they don't have the means to pay for it. Unfortunately, they don't. So we do, like, in our local surrounding, we've done some training and, you know, given some equipment to people who required it, some tree workers who required it. And that's easy because it's not there's no loss of money, and there's no cost that's incurred. But for us to travel, and India is huge, and for us to travel to the people who do this work throughout the country, and, you know, it's not feasible for us to finance it, but I know that plenty of people would love to, you know, and would love to donate to that cause. And I have loads of friends who are like, oh yeah, you should do it, you know. And what is €5? It's like, that's my coffee and my croissant. I'm happy to give that once every 3 months, you know. It's not so that's our upcoming project, because that's where we want to focus, you know. We need to train people.
Yeah, that's very good. You know, as you said, you know, you told me about, you know, the father and son, and he lost his son, you know, but, you know, it shouldn't really have to be, you know, it's almost like collateral damage, right?
It's collateral damage. It's collateral damage, exactly. And the worst part is that, you know, they estimate, like, it sucks to say, but the poorer classes here in India, they estimate that their life is worth around 5,000 to 10,000 euros. You know, that's what a company has to pay off to their family if they get injured or die. You know, if they get like handicapped injured, and it's just, you know, okay, this is happening. This happens all over the world, but this is where I am and where we are, Jonas, myself, Julian, and we're here. This is where we can make a change. This is where we choose to make a change. So that's what we're doing. And we're passionate about it.
I'm happy to hear that you're doing all this work. You know, we'll talk after this chat, and we'll make a donation from Arborist Industry.
Oh, thank you so much. That's great. Yeah, cool. Thanks a lot.
So you know, let's talk a little bit more about the trees. You know, for many of our viewers, you're working in palm trees is something which they have never done, or not doing on a regular basis at least. So tell us a little about, you know, how that differs from climbing and working in other trees that are not, you know.
Yeah. So like, we have about 100 to maybe 150 different species of palm trees in our area, from coconut trees to palmeras to royal palms, fishtails, which are like incredibly itchy when you prune them. They're incredibly, like, they make you have a rash, to date palms. We have so many different types of palms, and we even have we have a huge century palm that grows to around 40 meters, and it lives to 100 years old. And once it only flowers once when it dies. So it reaches to 100, it flowers this massive, so it's like 40 meters, and then it shoots up another 15 meters of this, the flower. So the flower shoots up, and it's like, I had to prune several of those, and they're no fun. They have like razor thorns that are this big, and not even counting the rats and the animals that live in there. So it's like, it's an adventure. It's always fun. I mean, unless it's too scary, then it's not so fun.
But
Yeah.
do you trim any of the palm trees in kind of urban areas as well? You know, you take off, you know, some of the dead, you know, I'm
Yeah.
not sure what they call
So,
it, branches on palm trees, but
well, they have the fronds and the nut, like the coconuts. So we have the coconuts that have like hazardous nuts and the fronds that fall off.
yeah,
Um, Mostly the coconut trees that we trim are for like middle class to upper class clients that, you know, they have their garden and they have all like flowers and everything that need to be
yeah,
rigged. Otherwise, mostly the locals love to do them because they do it, you know, with no PPE, so it's a lot cheaper. And for like huge plantations for harvesting, they charge ridiculously, like, well, what is it? Let me just do the calculation. It's like 45 cent per tree.
wow,
They
that's
charge
nice.
45 cent per tree and they can do 10 to 15 trees per day. You know, and these are like 30-meter trees or 25-meter trees, palm trees, coconuts.
Oh,
So financially, we can't compete on that.
no, of course, I
And,
can understand that.
but we do it for, yeah, clients that have value that's below the palms. So, and I enjoy pruning coconut trees. I find that it's, on top of it, if they have coconut, it's like an extra bonus. You get to
Yeah,
drink the coconut. I mean, it's like one of my favorite fruit or nuts,
yeah,
and they're just, yeah.
right. So you also competed in Kapunda, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. With
So
Joe.
how was that down there? You know, are you planning to compete some more, or you know,
I think that was like it was an amazing experience,
yeah,
eye-opening, and you know, like Jonas and I are very similar climbing styles because we both learn from each other,
yeah,
and we're like, you know, we're very similar climbing. Um, we have very similar climbing styles, and it's like, oh, I would have done it this way, and they're like, yeah, that's exactly the way I would have done it, and it's because we learned from each other. So when we went to Kapunda and we saw, you know, in Australia, we saw suddenly we were exposed to 150 different climbers, and some of the best climbers in the world. You know, there's like Scott Forrest is there,
yeah,
and you know Sam Tree Smith is there. I mean, there's just like Ryan Rupert, these guys, and Drew, and there's just so many good, great climbers, you
yeah,
know, and just watching them climb and being like, whoa. And then when we climbed, we were very surprised to be not at their level, but close behind, you know, and that was really reassuring and gratifying a bit to our ego as well because we're like, oh wow, you know, like
yeah.
we don't have anyone to compare to, so, and we learned so much. We learned so much because we were like, whoa, man, that's like way more insightful. And I didn't see that like that way that he would climb, and or even later that we stayed on and worked a little bit in Australia, and we
Okay.
saw how they rigged these massive trees, and you know, sometimes just it's just everyday work for them there,
Yeah.
and it's one of these things where it's just you can't conceive it because you come from a place where, you know, we don't have other arborists to compare to.
No, exactly. It's a totally different scene there. So,
Yeah, and the competition was just like it was beautiful. The spirit that was in that competition was like it was like a brotherhood, and you know, it was this thing of everyone was climbing and performing and having a great time and invested all this time for a 1 minute climb, a 2 minute climb. The
yeah,
the shorter, the better in the end, you know. So it's like, yeah, I want to
yeah,
climb as little as possible or as
exactly. And
fast.
people
Yeah,
from all over the world, you know, just coming
yeah,
together in one place to do this, you know, it's amazing.
exactly, yeah. And
So
then sharing. Yeah,
so
sorry.
what do you think about, you know, the tree climbing competition scene in India? Do you foresee any competitions that are hosted in India, you know, going forward?
We have big plans to do them because there's some beautiful trees here, but it's a matter of we want to first have Indian tree climbers so that they can also compete. So I would say at least 2 or 3 years until something comes off here. I mean, we could obviously have done it sooner, but I don't think it would have had the same, or it could actually have a very positive impact, because people would see it as, it would be like an exhibition, an expo. So that could be that would be, yeah. There's a possibility, I guess.
It potentially could draw interest to,
exactly.
the whole, safety situation, and
exactly
the thinking of PPE in that term.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah.
So Jonas told me, about the rats eating your gear. Yeah. Some funny stories. Yeah, that was. It was a funny story, but I can imagine you suffered from that. But can you give us your funniest on the job story?
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's a couple of really good funny stories. Do you mind if I swear?
No, it's all right.
Okay, because this one is like one of my favorite. That where. So we're working at one of our higher class clients that we do. Every year we do like an annual pruning.
Okay.
And we were 6 of us there, and myself, Jonas, and we had a third climber. He no longer works with us. This was like 4.5 years ago or something. We just started to like expand throughout India. And so this was like the first or the second, I think the second time pruning at his compound. And he's a tree collector. So he has like just species from Madagascar, from Hawaii, from all over the world.
Okay.
And he had these 3 massive ficus trees. And I had to do one of them. That was the most gnarly and like had crossing branches and dead branches, and it was a mess. So I was like, okay, I'll do that one, and whatever. Joe went and climbed the really nice tree that was all open. No, I'm kidding. And I was doing this really gnarly tree, and it's just a headache. There was the compound wall. We had to rig everything, bring it inside. And I start to swear, because I'm just getting like, after 2.5 hours, I'm just getting pissed at each branch. I'm like, oh, this fucking shit branch. I'm going to cut down this fucking tree. I can't stand it. Oh, get down, bitch. Like I start swearing. And one of my climbers, he's like, hey, Anadi. And I was like, shut the fuck up. I'm working. He's like, Anadi. And I'm like, dude, fuck you. I'm right. I'm like busy. And he's like, the client. And then I look down. And so this is like, he's rich, wealthy, well-educated, fluent in English, and he's passionate about his trees, and he sees like me swearing at his tree, gonna cut it down kind of thing, and so like, I freeze, like I block, I'm like, oh, what the hell did I just do? And then I rappel down, I take off my saw, I'm like, hello, sir, let me show you what all the team is doing, like act like nothing happened. But I was so embarrassed, and all of us were so embarrassed.
Yeah, I can imagine. But do you still work for him?
Oh, we still work for him. He loves us. Yeah, he loves us. And every time I go, he gives me a T-shirt, or he gave me this really cool book of now I forgot the name, but it's about the photographer that takes pictures in Borneo. And anyway, really good climbing book. And he's a great client also because he's so passionate about the trees. And he's also helped us promote our business to his other friends and so forth. So it was like, it was one of those bonding moments.
Happy client despite the swearing, huh?
Yeah. I think he told his friends, and it was like a good laugh.
Yeah, that's cool. So also, we've seen some videos of snake encounters on your Instagram page as well, some other Indian arborist pages. How have you had any other scary encounters with other animals, and how is it to meet a snake like that?
Well, if I'm being like 100% frank, the only real animal that scares me is other humans and like neighbors and so forth. I'm not scared of the snakes and the scorpions and the ants and like I grew up here, so I catch snakes. I have a terrarium at home, so I educate both my kids about like reptiles and which ones are venomous, how they react, and because most reptiles are very docile and they only react when they have their space intruded. So I'm actually like I'm not scared, and I've got stung in the tree by a scorpion, and we don't have venomous snakes that climb the trees, fortunately.
Okay.
We only have tree snakes which are not venomous. We don't have any like mambas or tree vipers or those types of snakes that climb trees.
Okay,
We don't have dangerous venomous spiders, and so like the most dangerous thing you'll find in a tree would be a scorpion, or we have fire ants which are super annoying.
yeah.
And yeah, I guess like in terms of we don't. It's not that. It sounds exotic, and I guess if you come from Europe where you only have squirrels, it would be. That's also funny because when I went to Italy last year, I saw these cute red squirrels, and I was like, oh, squirrels, squirrels. And all the other arborists looked at me like, what the fuck's wrong with this guy? It's a fucking squirrel,
So
And
you
I was
wanted
there
to
like,
take it with you, right?
yeah, I wanted to take it with me. I was like, I'm gonna feed it some nuts or something, like.
I can
But
let the kids play with it.
yeah, exactly. I'm gonna let the kids play with it.
So I have to ask you: Have you seen a king cobra on the ground?
I've not seen a king cobra in our region. We don't have king cobras. We have the
Okay.
Indian spectacle cobra, and yeah, I've seen them, and
Okay.
they're quite. They can be quite like scary. They get quite big,
Yeah.
and but yeah, like I said,
Well, we have some dangerous species there as well. Well,
yeah,
not really dangerous, but I think it was over 100 years ago somebody was killed of a wolf in the wild.
Woo.
There have been some deaths in the animal parks, but
yeah.
I think that's probably the most dangerous animal we have, considering of course we have. I think bees and wasps kill more people than the other.
Then the big, yeah,
People get
yeah,
this
exactly.
electric shocks and stuff.
Yeah, we have nasty bees here, and we have hornets, which are like massive.
Yeah, I know.
So
They're big.
yeah,
They're big.
and we also like in our region we don't have elephants, but elephants can be quite dangerous and they're scary. And it's like you gotta run because those things break your car, and
Yeah.
it's yeah.
Yeah, I know. I've seen some of those videos on YouTube. They're unpredictable. It seems.
Yeah, and we had like about 2 years ago we did a little demonstration. Like Jonas had talked about it about the Tata coffee, and in those regions you get tigers, elephants, king cobras, and yeah. So there's a whole like different level of safety protocol when it comes to wild animals,
Yeah,
and
I can imagine that.
it's
Wow.
it's definitely interesting.
Yeah, it is absolutely. So, but I suppose Australia has the most venomous animals in the world. They're kind of
Yeah,
everywhere, right?
yeah. Australia is one of those places where like any snake can kill you. I mean, at least
They even chase you down.
exactly. No, I don't know about that, but it's
I
definitely
think
scary
the
enough.
black mamba is known to chase people.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I'm not sure if it's in Australia or if black mamba is also or if it's in Africa. I'm not 100% sure.
It could be Africa. I'm not sure, but I know they're trying to chase people to bite them.
Yeah, vicious guys.
Bad habits.
Yeah.
So our standard question is coming up. So, what's your favorite piece of gear of all time, and why?
Cool. This is a close one. So I would say the tree motion harness and the rope runner. are like
Okay.
a close. It's hard for me to decide. So the way I see this is if I had to like climb every day, would I rather climb in my tree motion with like an akimbo or another SRT device or something, or would I rather my rope runner with another belt? I think I would go for the tree motion. Yeah, because because I mean like I used to wear the Sukuya Betsa,
Mm.
excuse me, and I used had a little bit of backache, and
Okay.
after long days of work and with the tree motion, I don't get back pain. Touch wood, but
That's
and
good.
that if my body is healthy, that's like I mean I can live without um, the beauty of the rope runner because the rope runner pro came out. So
Yeah, we're still waiting for it to become CE approved because we
yeah,
only sell approved equipment. So, but
understandable.
it's
Yeah,
going to be out in the kind of March here, mid
cool.
March
Yeah.
is what I've been told. So a
Mhm.
lot of people are looking forward to the rope runner.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I can imagine. It's a great tool.
Yeah. So on a personally on a business level, what do you think what is your future plans? What is happening next?
So on a business level, I think we're going to try to execute those points where I mentioned that we want to do a YouTube training and train people and focus on that aspect. So that's going to be more of a, yeah, let's see how we're going to see how to approach that and depending on what happens. But we need to that's our end goal is to have as many arborists in India as possible.
Mm.
And in the long run, that's the way forward. So this coming years, the next year or two is going to be focused on that. And on a personal note of like my career as an arborist, I think it's very important for me to travel. Excuse me. Just because every time I go out, I learn new skills, whether it be climbing or,
Mm.
and I feel like, I've never done any crane work and I want to expand my skill set. And I have, I have friends through Instagram and through meeting them in person that are knowledgeable. And like, I feel like we are like it's we're incredibly supported. Our team, our Tree Care India team, and it's really something that warms my heart, and we're really grateful about it because we've been offered, oh, come work for us for a month, come work here, and it's an opportunity for us to learn, to spread our like enthusiasm as well, and to bring back to India the things that we learned and teach other arborists those things.
Yeah.
So I feel like, when you run a business, your business is your personal and your personal is your business kind of thing.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
joint.
Yeah, exactly. I know
So
what you're
yeah.
talking about. Yeah, so if, once you expand, the Arab industry in India, we might set up, a bronze share because I'm getting
Yeah.
tired of this cold weather.
Come and have some nice warm weather. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully that's the end goal. We want to have a vibrant industry here,
Mhm.
and it's going to take time, but
Yeah.
all
But
good things take
you're
time.
sounds to me you're doing the right things.
Thank you. Yeah, awesome.
So I'm not sure if we have any questions from the audience here. Do we? No,
I've actually,
there are no questions showing
I've,
up. I'm not sure if people are shy on this Friday afternoon. But
I talked so much they were like, oh, we don't need to ask him questions.
well, you probably said it all, right?
There's always more to say.
I know, I know. You can probably sit here for another hour.
Oh, like oftentimes I'm chatting and just like time flies so fast. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
We're
I
already
know.
speaking for an hour? And I'm like, oh. And it's when you're passionate about something, it just time flies.
Yeah, I know.
And
I had a guy that came in, a customer that came in here to pick up some gear today, and we were sitting here talking, and he said, Anders, do you fancy a pizza around, 12 o'clock lunchtime? So he
Yeah.
went away, got a couple of pizzas, and we were sitting here having lunch, and then he stayed for another hour.
Exactly.
So,
When you can have an interesting conversation, it goes fast.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I was showing him a book that we have as well on oak trees and stuff. But so yeah, it was a
Cool.
nice conversation. I think
Yeah.
we have a question here. Is there a national standards government approved in India?
Um, you mean in tree work? I think
Yeah,
that like,
yeah, tree work.
okay. So in tree work, there's no government standard approval. There is a government requirement of working at heights.
Okay.
So if you're doing any procedure above 2 meters, then you need to have all the safety gear and have a harness and so forth. But nobody follows it, and yeah,
Okay.
it's and the government doesn't enforce it because it's just they don't have the manpower to enforce it.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those laws. I think they're probably all over the world.
Mm,
They're making laws that nobody can enforce. So what's the point?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's and the like there is a responsibility for the employer to make sure that his employees are safe, but they just circumvent that by hiring contractors. So it's like, yeah, they're not working for us, the contractor is, and
Their
that's
responsibility.
that. Yeah, it's their responsibility. So yeah,
Okay.
One last question.
We have one last question.
Husqvarna or steel?
What's your favorite chainsaw? Husqvarna or Steel or Echo or whatever?
like my favorite chainsaw at the moment is the 372. I love it.
Okay.
Yeah, the Husqvarna 372. I don't have much experience with the Husqvarna top handle. When I went to Italy last year, I used the 545. I think it's the 545. I'm not 100% sure because it's like the first time I used it. I think it's the 545. It's the professional top handle.
Yeah.
And that one, I was like, ooh, I fell in love with it. It felt like I was just like revving a 200, just a little bit better. But it was just like I loved it. But we don't have that available in India.
Okay.
So we have like the 335, some old model that it's an amateur saw. It's semi-professional, and
Okay.
it works. It's a good saw, but it's just not at that level.
Same level. No.
I would say 372.
I think we have another question, right?
This is more of a statement, it seems like.
It's more of a statement. What does it say? I know Thailand, Hong Kong, etc., have made a qualification body where national standard and set up the International Arborist database to track, etc. You should check it out.
Okay, yeah, cool.
It was
Yeah.
a tip for you.
Cool. Thanks for the tip. Maybe DM me the specifics because my memory, like, it's so late here, so I'm gonna most probably.
Sure. Well,
Yeah.
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 We'll
Cool.
we'll send you that. We have to.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it's late, and it's Friday night. People want to start cooking their dinners. You probably
Yeah.
have yours already.
Yeah. I had
So,
mine.
Thank you very much for attending. It was a pleasure chatting to you, and all the best for Tree Care India. As you said, we'll keep in touch and you give me your details, and we'll make a little donation to your company and your cause there.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me and for the continued support, and really, really appreciate all the support that we get.
Keep up the good work, and thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, everyone.
And have a nice weekend and a good next week. Have a nice talk to you. Bye.
Bye bye.
Take care.